Hey everybody, it's Kelly. Welcome back to another episode of Ask a Therapist. Today we're talking about reasons that people stay closeted. There's a lot of really valid reasons that people decide not to come out or to come out later in life or only to certain people. But I hear people say a lot, especially when we have things like National Coming Out Day and national days that celebrate different identities, which I love, of course. It can be hard for people who have stayed in the closet for one reason or another. So we're going to go over some reasons why people do that and really try to normalize that for you, because your process needs to be your process. When you're ready to do things, that's when you do things, not when anyone else is. Also, we had a crazy milestone recently and I haven't actually celebrated it in any video, so we hit 2,000 subscribers. Thank you all so much for watching, for liking, for sharing. Keep it up. We'd love to grow this community and it can't be done without you. Reason number one why people stay in the closet is simply they are not ready. There's a lot of reasons why someone might not be ready. It's one thing to make a plan to say to friends or to family members or to whoever that you want to share with them who you are, whether it's how you identify, whether it's a change in pronouns or a change in who you're dating or not dating. For any of that, you have to be at a certain level of comfort with yourself. Now, I do a fair amount of work with teens. This becomes problematic because a lot of parents take offense to that. They're like, why didn't my kid come talk to me earlier?
Am I not approachable enough?
What's wrong with our relationship that I didn't know?
And to that I say, it's really up to the kid whether or not they're ready. When you come out to significant people in your life, it makes it real. And it's hard to kind of walk that back, and that panic that comes from the fact that we live in the land of heteronormativity. That fear that this might not be who you are is deep-seated. I watched a video this week when I was just sort of like playing around on YouTube and just kind of seeing what's out there. And with this one video, it was about 6 years old, and it was a therapist who was interviewing a teenager. And the teenager was talking about how she wasn't ready to come out to her family or to her friends. She didn't want to use a label because she wasn't sure. And he said, well, why aren't you sure? Like, what are you not sure about? And her response was, what if I change my mind? I hear it a lot. You probably hear it a lot. Here's the thing. If you change your mind, then you change your mind. Sometimes labels are fluid and sometimes they fit you like a glove. Sometimes they fit you like a glove for an entire period of your life and then later on, not so much glove-like. It's okay to change your mind. That phrase in and of itself is very choice-oriented, as though we can just choose who we love and are attracted to and that sort of thing. Let's get this clear. We choose what we do with our bodies. You should always have the ability to choose what you do with your body. You do not always have the choice of who you are attracted to, who you are not attracted to, and how you know yourself to be. All of that put together gets you to a point where you know whether or not you're ready. And if you're not ready, then you don't come out until you are. There seems to be a lot of built-in shame or regret in taking a little longer to come out than what you expect is the normal experience. Y'all, there is no normal experience. The only normal experience is not having to come out at all. And because of that, that can actually be really freeing because you don't have to subscribe to a certain way of doing it. Maybe you tell your family first, maybe you tell your friends first, maybe you do try on a couple different labels before you tell anybody in your life. Maybe you, I don't know, never clearly define for anyone in your life who you are. If you know who you are and you're comfortable with where you are, who cares? It's very possible it's no one else's business unless you want it to be. That leads us into the next one, which is a desire to please family members. Specifically, I'm going to say parents or parental type figures. We did get this in a comment on the channel a little while ago about somebody who was kind of uncovering the fact that they were staying in the closet in order to please their parents. And they did request that we do, something about this, which is the reason that I'm sharing it. In that comment, I saw a lot of self-discovery, the realization that they were keeping themselves closeted, keeping themselves from living out their truest identity because they were worried about their parents or protecting their parents or trying to live up to what their parents needed them to be. And I just saw so many people's stories in that. The thing is this, y'all, when you live in a heteronormative society, you are raised to believe that you are heterosexual. You are raised to believe that you identify with your sex as assigned at birth. And you are raised to believe that gender aligns with that sex. None of those are necessarily true for everybody. And it becomes problematic because when you grow up in that kind of a life, then you are constantly working harder, doing more, proving more, or going the other way and like blowing things up from the inside out. All of that is because you do not feel like you measure up. Because internally, often before you even know it, there is something telling you you don't fit that mold. You know that your life does not look like that normative life. And because of that, you start to feel like something's missing. Sometimes that can get placed on family members, and we do everything in our power to please those family members in order to actually gain the recognition and the understanding and the affirmation that we're missing in ourselves. Sometimes when we have family members who would not, probably when we do tell them, be super supportive, that need to please them is actually to make up for who you know yourself to be. It's so difficult to even say that because I think for some people who aren't there to realize that, that can be really grating. But in general, I have seen pretty often where people are working so hard to get good grades or make a lot of money or do whatever it is that they deem to be successful in order to make up to their parents or their family or sometimes their spouse that failing that they feel is in them because they do not identify with the cis-het normative narrative. You don't have to do that. If that's what's keeping you in the closet, start on affirming yourself. Start on reminding yourself that you are amazing just as you are. And you do not have to fit any narrative out there, any explanation for human nature out there. You don't have to fit any of that. You have to fit who you are, period. Another reason people stay in the closet for a while is heteronormativity. You'll find that I've changed a couple of my playlists on the channel, and there is now a playlist called heterosexism. That is where most of my heteronormative, cisnormative, allonormative videos are now falling because heterosexism covers that better than the word heteronormativity. But I do tend to use them in conversation interchangeably because heteronormativity is a word that has been so ingrained in my language for so long. The concept of heterosexism is that the society you live in as a whole is built for heterosexual, cisgender, allosexual people. And if you don't fall into that, you must be weird. The difficulty that's there in just coming out and announcing who you are or declaring for people that you are not hiding yourself, that's exhausting to even think about sometimes. Sometimes it's so difficult to think about how would we even do that? Like once you come out, you have to keep on coming out to every person you meet. I've said before in some videos, it's difficult sometimes for me to get the word wife out, but especially because I work in education in Florida and also because I meet new people all of the time. I feel like I have to put it in there into conversations in order to let people know who I am. I don't, but I feel that need. I feel that pull on a regular basis. I have to kind of check myself and think, why am I laying this information out there? Would I feel the need to lay this information out there if I were married to a man? Would I feel the need to lay this information out there if I wasn't trying to credential myself as a member of the queer community? Because that's very real. In conversations where we are trying to give our opinion or the truth of how we've experienced heterosexism, we almost have to credential ourselves as members of the community in order to have a valid stance. I appreciate that when I'm speaking to other members of the community. When I'm speaking to people who are not in the community, I resent the fact that I feel like I have to credential myself. I should not have to constantly out myself just because you can't see past the idea that everything you know is heterosexual,
Cisgender, allosexual.
I shouldn't have to. And I'm starting to remind myself of that. How about you? And the last reason, and this is the one I really wanted to end on, that people stay in the closet is because it's nobody else's business but your own. You get to decide who you let into your life. You get to decide who you tell the truth of who you are. You don't just walk around telling everybody your deepest emotional scars or your deepest secrets all of the time when you first meet them. And if this for you is something that personal, then you hold on to that and keep it that personal. Maybe only your inner circle knows. Maybe you're the only one who knows. If you are comfortable with where you are at, it is no one else's business. No one ever actually has to come out. But also, no one should ever actually have to stay in the closet. You should have the right, you do have the right to decide who you are and how you share that with the world. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. That's it for today. Thank you so much for being here. Make sure you're checking our community tab. I put some information up there about what we're doing for December. I'm super excited about it, and I'd love to hear your feedback on it. So I will see you all next week, and until then, take care of yourselves and each other.